And so what's available is there's new ways to be creative and to communicate positively in a voice and using a language that is market segment appropriate. So who are the customers? Knowing your audience requires listening more than talking. Hospitality is a real essential point of transaction for wine. In restaurants, in retail environments, being hospitable. It's a fascinating concept in etymology. The word host comes from the word ghost, Latin hostis, H-O-S-T-I-S. It's an unknown being. The word guest comes from the word ghost. In German, Geist, Beetlejuice, Beetlegeist, all right? And so hospitality is actually the coming to know of people. It's not lecturing to them. It's not judging them. It's not precluding them because they have certain opinions or preferences. It's actually getting to know them. So there's new ways to model your product, and it can be bottom up or top down. In 2007, I was engaged for consultation by two big wineries. Combined, they sold about, I think it was somewhere in the neighborhood of 500,000 cases of Moscato in 2007. I proposed to them, because they paid me to do this kind of crap, that Moscato was the next big thing. And they're like, Moscato? Or you got to be kidding. You know, the grapes are easy to grow, it's cheap, it's sweet. Why in the world Moscato? Well, because I looked carefully at dynamics and trends, and one thing that was happening is finally, after bashing white Zin consumers for decades, that it was a fad, that it was a flash in the pan, and so forth, finally, white Zin sales were trailing off. And it was due to migration to other alcoholic products, not wine, that was at cause of this. And we could see this in the data. So I said, Moscato's the thing. I worked with one of the wineries on the specific product development, lowering the alcohol, getting rid of any extraneous off odors, sulfites, and reduction, and so forth, and whatever, and told them also how to reposition it, and they raised their prices from an average of $3.99 ASP, average selling price, to $5.99, repositioned it, and in 7 years, these two producers went from 500,000 cases to 10.5 million cases, just between those two. Now, it also happened that the hip-hop community had picked up on Moscato and lobster and whatever. That's accidental, but it was because they were now promoting it. And most people in the industry don't even know that Moscato wasn't even a blip on the radar, 20 years ago. So by knowing the market and being creative, and in the wine education process, who loves wine and food pairing, and it's a wonderful thing, all right? You may hate me. Wine and food pairing, and this is a quote from the Daily News in UK, wine and food pairing is bullshit. We've made it all up. It was never practiced in France or Italy or Spain. It's sensory interactions that are random and also falsely attributed for the most part. Red wine goes with steak because of the fat and protein. It's all bullshit. It really is. And it's easy to do. Go home, cook a steak, nice and rare, beautiful cut of meat with plenty of marbling and fat. Take a strong red wine. Do not put a speck of any seasoning or salt on the steak. Try the red wine, try the fat, try the red wine. It gets more tannic, more bitter. It's a lie. It's a false attribution of what's going on there. And the protein doesn't ameliorate the tannins and whatever. There's chemically interactions in fining wine and in denaturing your proteins in your mouth that cause astringency. But umami properties in the meat actually render it, try your wine, try the meat, try the wine again, more bitter, more astringent. The only thing that makes it appear softer is the salt you put on it, y'all. Who loves salt? I mean, and who loves salt and kind of almost embarrassed at how much you love salt, okay? Number one sign you've got the most taste buds, but nobody told you that. You've got a hypersensitivity to bitterness, and you need that bitterness ameliorated. You know you need more salt mostly on the food that you have. But yet, we don't know that, so we look at people who grab the salt shaker. Oh, the chef did this perfectly. Well, that's his perspective. That's his point of view. That's not the reality for everybody, okay? And so what's available is there's new ways to be creative and to communicate positively in a voice and using a language that is market segment appropriate. And so even still, people who are making the big red wines, well, those aren't food wines because they don't go with food. However, the people that live in a certain scale actually find alcohol tastes sweet. They don't get that burn. And that bitterness and astringency, that's smooth and rich to them. They are not picking up on that. They literally see things more in black and white, and their ability to discriminate different levels of contrast is much lower. They tend to be linear thinkers, and they respond beautifully to the valuation system that they're locked into, which is the 100-point system called money. All right? And so there's a perfect system for, this is somebody, it's a Vizsla on a $100 bill. It's one of the oak companies in there. By understanding what the market is looking for, you can actually, as a producer, create a better menu with the offering, saying, hey, we've got things that'll cover every price, every flavor profile possible. And there are ways to execute your business in establishing your online presence. There's a way to create labels that may really suck for some people, but are absolutely perfect for the market for which they are intended. And there's no area better suited for developing targeted products, and the target being a market segment and a price point and a flavor profile, and then establishing, you know what, Moscato is great with steak. Did anybody ever have a Moscato with steak here? Try it, it's awesome. If you love Moscato. If Moscato sucks, it will suck with steak. It'll suck with seafood, it'll suck in the summer, it'll suck in the winter. But we so contextualize stuff that we think we're positively marketing a product, and we're actually giving people reasons not to consume our product.